to Artist Library, and today we are looking at how Celine Dion was groomed by her husband. Stay tuned to the end of the video for further details. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting content like this. Hollywood romances seldom seem to endure. If a famous couple stays together for a year, they are practically living happily ever after. If 1 year of Hollywood marriage is equivalent to 10 years in the real world, as we are persuaded, then Celine Dion and her late husband ReneAngelil were wed for 220 years. Okay, so that's not the actual situation. But Dion and Angelil got married in 1994, and their love is still as sincere and devoted now as it was the day they got married. Some relationships are just meant to be, and it appears that Celine Dion and ReneAngelil were designed to complement each other both in and out of the workplace. Angelil played a significant role in Dion's career as their marriage and the professional relationship progressed, and it is easy to understand why. Prior to managing Dion, Angelil was a highly regarded music executive in Quebec, who had helped to launch the careers of artists like Rene and Jeanette Reno. When a man close to 40 years old entered her life, she was only 12 years old. He was supposed to be her manager, but the relationship went too far. When Celine's mother learned, she attempted to stop him, but he had Celine under his control by this time. This continues to focus on the terrible tale of how Celine Dion was manipulated when she was just 12 years old. Before we discuss Celine's late husband, Rene, it's important to note that her manager was the one who exploited her, and did so skillfully to the point where he eventually became her husband. Her husband, Rene, was a Canadian singer, talent manager, and music producer. He is well known for being Celine's manager and her longtime husband. He came into her life at a young age. Angelil was a powerhouse by the time he collaborated with Dion, and he aided the superstar in the early stages of her career. Dion released a gold record in France while under his management, a first for a Canadian singer, and went on to win the gold medal at the Yamaha World Song Festival in Tokyo. In 1991, Dion's English-language album, Unison, became popular, and the song Where Does My Heart Beat Now catapulted her to fame. "I'm not surprised that we married each other, because we have the same dreams," Dion stated of their working partnership. Celine, who is now a mother, acknowledges that she would not be comfortable if her son were placed in a similar circumstance. "If I reversed the rules and my son came home with a lady who has kids, and she's 45, and she thinks she knows best, I'd be like, take your hands off my son. So if my young son were approached by a woman who's clearly an adult, I wouldn't be okay with it," she says. But she was approached in this way. Celine's friend Rene was actually the one who launched her career. Celine's brother decided to record her singing and send it to Rene since he spotted his name someplace, and knew he was in the music business, and wanted to share Celine's gift. What's unsettling about Rene is that he fell in love with Celine the moment he laid eyes on her, reportedly saying, "I have been in the business for 20 years, and in those 20 years, I've never heard or experienced a feeling come out of someone like this little girl had in front of me. I had shivers all over." It is hard to believe that a 38-year-old man would be so enamored with a 12-year-old girl. But keep in mind, this man was already married, had a wife and a family of his own, and they had bought a house together. In 1981, he made the decision to mortgage his home in order to pay for Celine's debut album. It seemed as though he was erasing his entire life for this young child. And of course, Celine's mother did not approve of the relationship because of the enormous age gap and because Rene has a history of divorce. He was previously married to his first wife, but 6 years after that, he filed for divorce. 2 years later, he married a woman named Anne, and they remained together for 12 years before divorcing. After their divorce, he moved on with Celine. Since Celine was in love with Rene and her mother was helpless to stop her, it felt like Celine was too far gone to make her own history without him influencing her from an early age, which is sort of what grooming is. Celine was quoted in 2013 as saying, "When I told her I had some strong feelings for Rene, she tried everything to kill him and make me snap out of it. At first, I was very frustrated and angry, but she tried to make me understand that this man had tried marriage twice before. He had 3 children, and he was not responsible. She said, 'You're my daughter, you're my baby, and I want the perfect Prince Charming for you.'" So, her mother was against this relationship for a good reason. Even Celine agrees with her mother since she feels the 26-year age gap is a bit extreme and would be against it if her son did the same, making everything seem rather hypocritical. They began dating in secret as soon as Celine turned 18 and didn't go public with the relationship until she was around 20 years old. The couple got engaged in 1991, and Celine made the announcement of their engagement on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. So she wasn't hiding anything, and it was happening in the open. It's odd why no one liked to put this together back then, considering how off this relationship is now. Celine Dion invokes images of superstardom in our minds. Her dazzling appearance and daring fashion choices never ceased to amaze us. Her marriage was no different. The pair eventually got hitched a few years later in 1994, and they had a spectacular ceremony that was both gorgeous and widely attended. They struggled to conceive early on in their relationship, but she eventually succeeded in conceiving 3 children. Nothing is scarier than witnessing your spouse go through a medical emergency, which is the situation Celine Dion found herself in when her husband, ReneAngelil, was given a cancer diagnosis in the late 1990s. Rene passed away, but he began to experience health problems in 1992. His illness began as a bump on his neck, which marked the beginning of his battle with throat cancer. They believe that smoking may have contributed to his throat cancer. After extensive therapy, Celine's husband was able to remain cancer-free for 2 years, but it had been a tough battle for him. Celine eventually took a 2-year break from performing to be back with her sick husband, skipping press appearances and concerts in favor of spending all her time with him. Sadly, Rene passed away from throat cancer on January 14, 2016, 2 days before his 74th birthday. Her husband had just passed away from throat cancer, and 2 days later, on her husband's 74th birthday, her brother passed away from brain, throat, and tongue cancer. That's a lot of loss in a short period of time, and Celine explained to the press that her husband came and got her brother because he was too frail to fly on his own. She told her husband Rene the night that he died, "You were fighting for everything. It's enough. The kids are good. I'm fine." Rene was the only man that Celine had ever been with. She said, "I promise you we're going to be okay. Please leave in peace. I don't want you to worry." Thinking that her brother died like 2 days later, we can't imagine how low she felt at that moment. For her, it was too much to bear. Although her career was undoubtedly continued to flourish, Dion has made it obvious that she isn't planning to date anytime soon. According to Dion, experiencing her husband's death was quite something for her and her children. And as a result of the event and her husband's love, she has evolved. Rene is likely the only man she will ever love. So, unfortunately, it happened the way it did. A 12-year-old should not be having a fling with her manager, or growing so close to him that she turns on her mother and secretly begins dating him. It just sounds toxic and very classic Hollywood. The advertisement for Celine's new children's clothing brand, Celine New, is just extremely strange and has an almost Illuminati-like vibe to it. Imagine if Olivia Rodrigo was dating a 46-year-old man. People would have problems with it. We honestly don't know how Celine's relationship with Rene just sort of flew under the radar. But this story is a classic Hollywood grooming scenario. People need to be careful when they're in the industry, because important and powerful people will try to use their powers to take advantage of you, or to pressure you, or to brainwash you. Do you guys feel like Celine was brainwashed? Let us know in the comments section below. See you in the next video with another interesting content. Goodbye from the Artist Library. Also, have a look at other incredible videos on the channel.